Your habits are sabotaging you. Every single day, you're doing dozens of small things that are actively working against the life you say you want. And the worst part? You're completely unconscious of most of them. You're sabotaging your health, your relationships, your career, and your happiness with tiny decisions that seem insignificant in the moment, but are destroying your future one choice at a time. I'm not talking about the obvious bad habits like smoking or drinking too much. I'm talking about the invisible habits that are silently killing your potential. The habit of checking your phone first thing in the morning instead of starting your day intentionally. The habit of saying, I don't have time instead of it's not a priority. The habit of consuming instead of creating, complaining instead of problem solving, avoiding instead of confronting. Last year, I decided to track every habit I had for 30 days. Not just the big ones, but every single repeated behavior throughout my day. What I discovered shocked me. I had hundreds of micro habits that were all working against the goals I claimed to want. I was my own worst enemy and I didn't even know it. Here's what most people don't understand about habits. They're not just things you do, they're who you are. Every habit is a vote for the type of person you want to become. Every time you hit snooze, you're voting to be someone who doesn't follow through. Every time you scroll social media instead of working on your goals, you're voting to be someone who prioritizes entertainment over achievement. Your current life is nothing more than the sum of your habits. Your bank account is a reflection of your spending and earning habits. Your body is a reflection of your eating and exercise habits. Your relationships are a reflection of your communication and attention habits. Your career is a reflection of your work and learning habits. If you don't like where you are in life, stop blaming your circumstances and start examining your habits. Because I guarantee you that every area where you're struggling, you have habits that are actively making that area worse instead of better. Let me give you some examples of habits that are probably sabotaging you right now. And I want you to be honest with yourself as I go through these. The habit of starting your day by checking your phone instead of setting an intention. This single habit is programming your brain to be reactive instead of proactive. From the moment you wake up, the habit of saying, I'll start tomorrow or I'll do it later, instead of taking action immediately. This habit is training you to be someone who procrastinates instead of someone who executes. The habit of consuming junk food when you're stressed instead of dealing with the actual source of your stress. This habit is teaching your body to seek comfort instead of solutions. The habit of watching TV or scrolling social media in your free time instead of working on something meaningful. This habit is programming you to be a consumer instead of a creator. The habit of avoiding difficult conversations instead of addressing problems directly. This habit is training you to let issues fester instead of resolving them. The habit of spending money you don't have on things you don't need instead of investing in your future. This habit is keeping you financially stressed instead of financially free. The habit of making excuses for why you can't change instead of focusing on what you can control. This habit is keeping you stuck instead of moving you forward. Each of these habits seems small and insignificant in isolation, but they compound over time. One day of hitting snooze doesn't ruin your life, but a year of hitting snooze creates a pattern of not following through on your commitments to yourself. One day of choosing entertainment over important work doesn't destroy your career, but a year of that choice definitely will. Here's what I realized that changed everything. My habits were more powerful than my intentions. I could set all the goals I wanted, make all the plans I could think of, and have all the motivation in the world, but if my daily habits weren't aligned with those goals, I would never achieve them. This is why most people fail at their New Year's resolutions by February. They try to change their results without changing their habits. They want to lose weight but keep the eating habits that made them gain weight. They want to make more money but keep the spending and earning habits that keep them broke. They want better relationships but keep the communication habits that create conflict. You cannot have a different life without different habits. Your habits are the compound interest of self-improvement. Small changes might not be noticeable immediately, but over months and years, they create massive transformation or massive stagnation depending on which direction they're pointing you. But here's where most people go wrong when they try to change their habits. They focus on the habit they want to eliminate instead of the habit they want to create. They focus on stopping the bad behavior instead of starting the good behavior. This creates a vacuum that usually gets filled by going back to the old habit or developing a new bad habit. Instead of trying to stop checking your phone first thing in the morning, create a new morning routine that doesn't involve your phone. Instead of trying to stop eating junk food, start eating something healthy first so you're not as hungry for the junk. Instead of trying to stop watching TV, start working on a project that's more engaging than whatever's on TV. The key is to replace bad habits with good habits, not just eliminate bad habits and hope for the best. You need to give your brain something better to do, not just tell it what not to do. Your brain needs patterns and routines. If you don't consciously create good ones, it will unconsciously default to whatever is easiest or most familiar. Here's how you start identifying and changing the habits that are sabotaging you, and I want you to actually do this exercise, not just think about doing it. First, audit your current habits. For 1 week, write down every repeated behavior you do throughout the day. Don't judge them as good or bad, just observe and record them. Second, categorize these habits based on whether they're moving you toward your goals or away from them. Be ruthlessly honest about this. Some habits might seem neutral, but if they're taking time and energy away from what matters, they're probably sabotaging habits in disguise. Third, identify the keystone habits, the habits that trigger other habits. For example, checking your phone first thing in the morning might trigger a whole chain of reactive behaviors throughout your day. Eating sugar might trigger cravings that lead to more poor food choices. These keystone habits have disproportionate impact on the rest of your life. Fourth, start with one habit at a time. Don't try to overhaul your entire life overnight. Pick the sabotaging habit that's having the biggest negative impact on your life and focus all your energy on changing that one habit first. Once that new habit is established, move on to the next one. But here's the most important part of habit change that nobody talks about. You have to change your identity, not just your behavior. If you see yourself as someone who is disorganized, you'll always default back to disorganized habits. If you see yourself as someone who lacks willpower, you'll always expect yourself to fail at maintaining new habits. Instead, you need to decide who you want to become and then vote for that identity with your habits. Want to become someone who is healthy? Start asking yourself, what would a healthy person do in this situation? And then do that thing. Want to become someone who is successful? Start asking yourself, what would a successful person do with this time? And then do that thing. Your habits are not just random behaviors, they're expressions of your identity. Every time you choose to work out instead of watch TV, you're reinforcing your identity as someone who prioritizes health. Every time you choose to learn something new instead of scroll social media, you're reinforcing your identity as someone who values growth. This is why lasting change happens from the inside out, not the outside in. You don't change your habits to change your identity, you change your identity to change your habits. When you see yourself differently, your behaviors naturally align with that new identity. But here's what sabotages most people's attempts at habit change. They expect to feel motivated to do the new habit before they start doing it. They wait for inspiration, for the perfect moment, for optimal conditions. This is backwards thinking that keeps you stuck forever. Motivation comes after action, not before it. You don't feel like working out and then work out. You work out and then feel motivated to continue working out. You don't feel like eating healthy and then eat healthy. You eat healthy and then feel motivated to continue eating healthy. Your sabotaging habits feel easy and automatic because you've done them thousands of times. Your new habits feel difficult and forced because you've done them 0 times. This discomfort is not a sign that the new habit isn't right for you. It's a sign that your brain is adapting to a new pattern. Every time you choose the new habit over the old habit, you're literally rewiring your brain. You're weakening the neural pathways that support the old habit and strengthening the neural pathways that support the new habit. This process is uncomfortable at first, but it becomes easier and more automatic with repetition. The difference between people who successfully change their habits and people who stay stuck isn't willpower, it's systems. Successful people don't rely on motivation or discipline to maintain their habits. They create systems and environments that make the good habits easier and the bad habits harder. If you want to eat healthier, don't keep junk food in your house. If you want to exercise more, lay out your workout clothes the night before. If you want to read more, put books in every room and remove the TV remotes. If you want to be more productive, put your phone in another room when you're trying to focus. Your environment is constantly influencing your behavior, usually without you realizing it. If your environment is set up to support your sabotaging habits, you'll keep doing those habits no matter how much willpower you have. If your environment is set up to support your desired habits, you'll naturally drift toward those behaviors. Most people try to change their habits through sheer force of will in environments that are designed to sabotage those changes. They try to eat healthy while keeping their kitchen stocked with junk food. They try to be more productive while keeping their workspace cluttered with distractions. They try to save money while keeping shopping apps on their phone. This is like trying to quit smoking while carrying a pack of cigarettes in your pocket. The environment is stronger than willpower every time. If you want to change your habits permanently, you have to engineer your environment to support the person you want to become, not the person you used to be. Here's what changed my entire approach to habits. I stopped trying to eliminate bad habits and started trying to crowd them out with better habits. Instead of focusing on what I couldn't do, I focused on what I could do. Instead of fighting against my natural tendencies, I worked with them by creating better options. For example, instead of trying to stop watching TV at night, I started reading books that were more interesting than whatever was on TV. Instead of trying to stop eating junk food, I started cooking meals that were more satisfying than fast food. Instead of trying to stop scrolling social media, I started working on creative projects that were more engaging than random posts. This approach works because you're not creating a void, you're filling your time and attention with something better. Your brain doesn't like emptiness, so if you don't give it something good to focus on, it will default to whatever is easiest or most stimulating. The habits that are sabotaging you right now didn't develop overnight and they won't disappear overnight. They're the result of thousands of small decisions over months and years. Changing them requires the same patience and consistency that created them in the first place. But here's what I want you to understand about this process. Every single day that you continue with sabotaging habits, you're moving further away from the life you want. Every single day that you replace sabotaging habits with supporting habits, you're moving closer to that life. Your habits are either compounding in your favor or against your favor. There's no neutral. Every habit is either helping you become the person you want to be or keeping you stuck as the person you've always been. The question isn't whether you have the ability to change your habits. The question is whether you have the commitment to do the work required to change them. Change is possible at any age, from any starting point, in any circumstances. But it requires you to stop making excuses and start making different choices. Your current habits got you to where you are right now. If you want to be somewhere different, you need different habits. It's that simple and it's that challenging. The choice is yours and you make it new every single day with every single decision. Stop letting your habits sabotage your potential. Start building habits that support the person you want to become. Your future self is counting on the decisions you make today.